Welcome everyone to Awakening the Priestess Codes of the Magdalene, part 2. It's like she has been just downloading this information as I go. So I'm always excited, number 1, to see what she's going to bring, and number 2, to bring it. So here we go. Let's call in sacred space. All right, let's take a big deep breath in. And as we exhale, we're going to drop those grounding cords, send our roots down, down, down into the earth, down from our base, down through our feet. Let yourself be held. Instead of just kind of like skimming the earth about 2 or 3 inches off of her, drop and just let your roots go down. So much more relaxing way to live. Inhale, draw that earth energy up through your body. Send it up and out through the top of the head, connecting with the heart of the Divine Mother above us. Inhale, draw that cosmic energy down through your body. Remember that core of us. Draw it all the way down, send it down into the earth. And then inhale, draw that earth energy up, send it up. So we have that flow going up and down, activating the as above, so below. Then connecting with that flow, breathing in and breathing out, activate the as within, so without. As the universe, so the soul. Moving to the north, we welcome Mother Earth. We give thanks to be here now in a physical body. Moving to the south, we welcome water and clear, clean, current, emotional energy. We welcome love, joy, abundance, flow into our circle. Moving to the west, we welcome air, mind, focus, clarity, all of our guides, angels, allies, and helpers. Moving to the east, we welcome fire and movement, passion, divine right action. Moving to the center, we welcome the divine feminine and the divine masculine and sacred right relationship. We call that beautiful energy down through our bodies, and we call up Mama Gaia to pull and magnetize that energy through us. We welcome our own sweet, extraordinary souls into the circle. We ask that all of these energies be with us, pray with us, and dance with us. So as we move today, connect with the Magdalene. Let her divine essence begin to awaken and flow through you. Here we go. Oh, I hope all of you can feel her the way I do. We're starting right now, honey. We are started. Okay. So it's like I pondered doing some of the same things twice, but we're gonna. Yeah, it feels really good. So we're gonna, and please feel free, don't unmute yourself, but please feel free to pray this prayer out loud with me. Just read it with me, because it's very potent when you say it out loud. Oh, great mother, divine feminine, birther of the cosmos, lover unto spirit, creatrix of all matter, and queen of all worlds within worlds and those without. We call to you this hour. We are your children. Hear our call. We are the daughters and sons of your divine union, the flesh of your passion for life. You who lay with spirit, our Father, in the beginning of time, and brought us forth from the blessed union of spirit and matter. We are your children, the sons and daughters of your flesh and your heart, and we remember your touch and the fragrance of your essence, and we long for you. Come into our hearts and gift us the remembering. Come into our minds and open our genius. Enlighten us with your presence. Draw back the veils that we might see and hearken the doors to open, that beauty and ecstasy may live in our homes and our hearts more fully. This is our hour of greatest need. We call to you through fire and water, through earth and wind, through all that bears your name. We call all your lineages and all your names. Come to us, come to us. So be it. So that was brought through by Judy Zion and in the Magdalene manuscript by Tom Kenyon. So let's talk about what we talked about last time just for a minute, just to remind those of you that may have missed the recording, and I will send it out again with this one. But we talked about last time, we talked about what codes were, awakening the codes. So that is anything that triggers an opening, an aha moment in our DNA that wakes us up to something new. And those things are firing right now like nobody's business because of the transitional period that we're in. We also talked about what is a priestess. And my definition is that she's a bridge. She's the conduit between heaven and earth. She is what makes this life palatable. She brings the divine in to this space and activates it in her life so that all of those around her can be activated as well. Why Mary Magdalene? We talked a little bit about that last time. We're going to add on to the answers to that question today. And why now? Because it's time. This time of transition that we are in is hitting its peak. It's hitting those pivotal moments where if we can harness all of us together, this energy at once, we will be able to shift the trajectory of our personal lives, the trajectory of this planet, and just the direction that mankind is going. But when you look around out there, it can look like it's going the other direction. And so this is why now. And this is why everywhere you look, we're going to talk about today we're going to talk about the organic timing of all of that and how it's all come into play. So one of the important codes that we talked about last time that she's activating within us now is courage. The capacity to make the necessary changes to restore our lives and our world right now. And I think I said in the email that I sent out, 2,000 years ago when she put her toe on this planet, she had no idea what was in store for her any more than we did when we got here. But when she hit the planet, it was in a time of chaos, just like now. And she found within her the capacity to, instead of being plowed down by that chaos, she created something new. She planted the seeds of love all over the planet just by being herself. And that's what we're going to learn about today. So let's talk about how she shows up. And she shows up nowadays for everybody, just about any, whether it's in meditation, whether it's in a download, whether it's reading a book. Mary Magdalene can be present with you in any of those formats and many, many more. But I remember her in the early days, back in the late 90s and early 2000s, when, it's still, all of the information around those shifts and changes the Vatican made, it had taken 40 years to just get us to where those little whisperings were starting to happen, starting to trickle through. Other people were becoming aware. It took that long. But when that happened and some of the books started to hit the shelves, many women, myself included, had the experience, and we've had this experience with other divine feminine icons, where all of a sudden we're transported to a different space and time. And we can literally feel her emotion. We can see through her eyes. And it feels like we are her. And so a lot of women were, doing the thing where in a past life, I was Mary Magdalene. And I already knew what these experiences were, so I didn't go there. But there was a time period when everybody thought they were Isis. And then everybody thought, and the reason is because that's another way that the divine feminine shows up. And I'm going to show you why it happens that way. So when you think about what had been going on with Mary Magdalene, her truth, the real truth of her life and what really happened, and quite frankly, from my perspective, there's a lot of different stories out there. And probably nuggets of truth in all of them, but none of them are going to line up perfectly. And there's a reason. Her truth had been hidden for centuries behind a lie. But when that truth is ready to be known, it will set everybody free. Now, the doorway for women, even though patriarchy convinced us that it was through our heads, just like it was for them, The doorway to awaken women is always going to be through their womb and through their hearts. And as that womb wisdom, because that was also the time period when information about how to heal our bodies and the true power of the female body and what that female body can really do, what it was really meant to do, all of that was coming to the surface. And women were diving into their womb spaces. They were waking up information that they had no clue was even in there. And so that womb wisdom, those secrets that had been literally inside of our cells all this time, started to awaken. The mysteries that had been hidden there underneath the surface started to bubble up from the wombs of all the women on the planet. Some of them were brave enough to say so, were brave enough to bring it forth and to begin to speak it. So those stories were bubbling up from emotion. My doorway in was feeling. I could feel her. I could, and it, you know, my experience was at the anointing, when she anointed Yeshua's feet. It was like I was there, and it was palatable and real. And I could feel her love. I could feel her fear, all of it. It was all there because it had been embedded in my womb space, and it was waking up. Same for everywhere, everyone. Women all over the globe were beginning to feel things that they'd never felt before, and it was waking up. So that archetypal, remember we talked about archetypes last time, the archetypal Mary Magdalene, the big one that had been around for 2,000 years, began to speak, right? Yes, I do too. Ariana, thank you for sharing that. Everybody check in the chat. That's beautiful. And it's the truth. In fact, you know, I mean, we talk about our head brain. Our head brain was really just created to run our body. We're the ones that made it run everything. That isn't working out too well for us right now. But we have a heart and a heart brain and a womb heart and a womb brain. So yeah, all of those parts. Let's see here. Yeah, that's beautiful. So the archetypal Mary Magdalene was speaking, but now all of these women all over the planet and men were having emotional, visceral, vibrational experiences. And then they were trying to put words to it. Those stories, if we, and you know, we were all trying to understand all of this information. Once again, we were still trying to understand it through our minds, with our brains. That's not going to work. But some of the things that were popping up, things that informed my journey, I remember Union. That was one of the first ones by Flo Ava Magdalena. The Magdalene manuscript, channeled from Tom Kenyon. Extraordinary information. And then the historical data that supported these things began to come to the surface. Woman with the Alabaster Jar by Margaret Starbird. The Expected One by Kathleen McGowan. Both of these, Margaret published her book based on historical fact. Kathleen did 10 years worth of research on not just what was written down, but she went to France. She learned from many oral traditions and hidden societies that are still alive and well in the area where Mary Magdalene established her church and where she raised her children, where she planted that new seed. So both of these are very, very accurate historical information. And the world was literally being bathed in her true archetypal energy for the first time ever, for the first time since she'd been here, right? So then, and now it's exploding. It's everywhere. Look at all of these. And this is only the beginning. And this is just a tiny little piece, a tiny little bit of what's out there, and it's growing. So now the world is exploding with this information. Perfect timing, right? Now, when we're in the throes of transformation like never before, now when there are places all over the planet that are in disarray, are in trouble, are in turmoil, change is afoot, similar to when she was here in the physical. So of course, she's going to be present here for us now. She's going to bring guidance and information through the wombs of women so that we have the tools we need to move through yet another transition. And when you look at all of this out there, because there's a lot now, more than we could ever digest or weave together so that it makes some kind of linear sense. And it would, to some people that are still trying to operate from the headspace, it would seem that we're facing the same dilemma that we've faced for centuries. What is the real truth? Using only our linear minds, it just seems too confusing. There's too many voices speaking things that sound kind of the same, but kind of not, kind of true, but do you know for sure? It almost feels like opening Pandora's box sometimes. I mean, for whatever reason, especially for me this year, when I saw, I mean, and don't get me wrong, oh my goodness, this is exactly what was supposed to happen. And there's an explosion of women everywhere that are doing ceremony this Saturday on her feast day. I'm sure the Catholic Church, that was not their plan, but that's what's happening, right? So I think it was a good idea. And here's why. Because she knew what most of us tend to forget. There is a spark of the divine in all of us. All she has to do is tweak it. She just has to poke it and it wakes up. So I'm going to say that again. There is a spark of the divine in all of us. Even those of us that sometimes it might be hard for others to see it, it's still in there. And the beauty of this, hang on, can hear people. So I'm gonna mute everybody just for safety. There we go. Okay. I've had that happen accidentally. Somebody unmutes themselves and then we hear a personal conversation that none of us really want to hear. So I try to make sure. So this brings us to the next priestess code that she wakes up in us by this whole design. She wakes this up. Authenticity. Let's talk about that for a minute. As the archetypal wisdom of the Magdalene, a word which now has come to mean priestess, grew, she knew that bringing this information through the bodies of women would be different than bringing it through the minds of man or the minds of women. So what was being communicated to all of us was vibratory. It was a vibration, a tone, an essence. So none of us are going to describe that experience in quite the same way. None of us are going to see the pictures in quite the same way. But the beauty of it is that it's not based on historical fact. There's all kinds of stories floating around out there about what really happened. What were the 7 demons? Was it a poison? Was it literally demon? There's 20 million stories around that. And every single little tidbit in her life will be talked about, will be analyzed, will pick it apart with our brains ad infinitum. But the truth is that the truth of what she came here to bring isn't based on that. It is based, and you know, now the facts that support that truth are coming forward, but we knew it all along. It was embedded in our cells. So now this information in the form of vibration is being brought through and translated through women who have accessed it through their bodies. Their wombs have awakened, and that information is turned on. And then as those seeds, you know, women that are brave enough to bring it forth, when those seeds are planted in the hearts and the wombs of other women, they germinate and they will grow into a body of information unlike anything we've ever seen before. Because up until this point, it's been about the mind. And if it didn't fit, if it didn't jive with the historical facts like we understood them, then it was wrong. But this isn't about the facts. It's about the vibration of love and how it can change this planet through us. And it comes through the souls of women that have been touched by her. And that makes it authentic. And that is a brilliant plan. And the best part of this, you know, this gives me chills just to think about. I can feel them creeping up my legs right now, is that all of this is going to come through us. She doesn't have to be physically here to be here. She's here through us. And we don't have to do anything different. We don't have to change anything. We don't have to fix or heal or adjust ourselves in any way. We just have to show up as our true, authentic self, who we truly are. Period. That's it. Yeah, absolutely. So why? Why does this work? And why would she instigate this now? Because she needs us now. Now more than ever. She needs women everywhere to show up and stand up as the true, authentic being that they came here to be, without judgment or shame about that. And that doesn't mean just the parts we're willing to show to people. That doesn't mean the shiny face we put on when we come to one of these classes. All those things that we're proud of. She needs the parts we hide. The parts that we might be ashamed of. The parts that we don't tell anybody. She needs them. After all, who better to save the world than the ones that have had the experiences, the ones that live here, the ones that know, truly know how difficult and how truly glorious this life in a physical body can be, just like she did. All of us have been down and out. We've all gotten bloody. We've all had hard times. And we've all had extreme experiences of joy and ecstasy. All of us. All we have to do is bring it. Just show up with it. And put it in the cauldron and let the magic begin. I love this, Morgana. Oh, I love it. Yes, absolutely, yes. So everybody look in the chat. She says, I received a download some weeks ago and it said, put your wombs in order. It is a portal. I've never thought these words. It was astonishing to me. The womb cave, awakening in such a variety of ways. Yes, 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 yes. Absolutely. And yeah, I've been screaming that from the rooftops for 30 years. Finally, other women are hearing the same voices. Yes. I may have mentioned in this class, I got a download from Mary Magdalene back in 2005 when I was considering, crazy me, stopping Sacred Rhythms and teaching something else. Sacred Rhythms is my Moon Lodge class. It's the class where I teach women how to awaken their wombs, how to do, it's basically based on all of Queen Afua's work, how to keep your body clear so that your womb works appropriately. And it had, you know, kind of been waning as far as attendance was concerned. And that's when I got the big download that you see all the time on the summits that said, the information necessary to shift the world in the time that we have left is housed in the wombs of the women of this age. And so, you know, there was my answer. No way, no how, keep going. And I did. And I still do. And that is one of the free gifts that you receive. It's both, honey. Anna Marie, I think it's both. She asked if it was womb or wound. I think we hold a lot of our wounds in our womb, and getting your womb in order means clearing all that out. So authenticity. So let's go back to remember what we talked about as priestess. Remember, a priestess is a conduit between heaven and earth, between the divine and the mundane. She's the bridge. She's real. She makes things real, and she keeps things real. So when, you know, a true priestess, when she shows up, this doesn't mean that she just looks like hell when she gets online. But what it means is that she doesn't come with anything false. There's nothing covering up her authenticity. She is present and she is there with you. She doesn't sugarcoat this life. She doesn't tell you it's going to be easy, but she reminds you that it's worth it. The journey may be long sometimes, but the blessings far outweigh the tribulation. And yes, she says this from a place of true knowing because she's walked it. This is why she wants us to bring all of our parts, because we're not going to be real to anyone else until we are real with ourselves, and we bring that wherever we go. And when others see us being true to ourselves, they can too. It takes authenticity to be a priestess in a world where everyone is looking for the next sparkly, shiny object, rather than what will help them find their own sparkle from within. We all have that tendency to look outside of ourselves first, and we will fight going within. We'll fight that tooth and nail. But that's the only place that we find the goodies. That's the only place we can get it. We need women who are willing to be real, willing to show up as their true selves in the world. Women who are courageous enough to be their authentic self in a world that may not always want to see it. So you may want to get your journal out and ask yourself, what is being asked of you now? Where do you need more courage? Where do you need to get real, to be authentic? Journal with those questions for just a minute. I love that, Anna Marie. She says, to be real for me is to tap into what my needs are, and not be afraid to authenticate them by expressing them to who matters to me. That's beautiful. There was a time not very long ago when I think a lot of women are still afraid to do that. That takes courage sometimes. So finish up your answers, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to go right to the source, because we're going to do another guided meditation. I'll put you all over here. So I'm just going to invite you. It won't be very long, but when you ask big questions like that, it's important to go get those answers. So I'm going to invite everyone to just close your eyes, begin to breathe, get out of your head. You've been focused on the screen, drop the shades, and take a breath. And as you exhale, drop your shoulders. Remind your roots to go down. Feel your body being held by the earth. And then just let your body relax a little bit more with the breath. And once again, find yourself walking on a sandy beach. Maybe the sun is setting. So there's a beautiful sunset over the ocean. And the water is lapping at your feet. You feel the sand squish between your toes as you walk. Your body relaxes even more. You can smell and feel the spray of the ocean on your face. And as you look out ahead of you, you see that being of light that you saw before coming toward you. And now you know who it is. And so your heart flies wide open and the light gets brighter. And very soon you're standing face to face with this beautiful sister and helper, Mary Magdalene. And she holds your hands in hers. And she looks deeply into your eyes. And she smiles. And she says, "Welcome back." And she invites you to breathe and to relax. To relax into who you really are, who you really came here to be. And then she says, "How can I help you? Is there anything you need from me right now? How can I serve you in your journey toward authenticity?" So take your time and ask her anything. And when you are complete with your conversation Thank her. Thank her for being here, for agreeing to show up on the planet when she did, for stepping up as her authentic self, and for showing us the way. And then embrace her. Feel her arms around you. Feel the tingling in your cells as she gives you a little boost. And know that you will see her again as she smiles at you and turns to go back down the beach the same way she came, watching that light get smaller and smaller and smaller, and then watching it fly up and plant itself in the blanket of stars above you. And go ahead and let yourself come back into this present time. So, as most of you know by now, there is a new session of New Earth Priestess happening. The doors are open. And I will say to you, we don't learn about these things in Priestess. That's why I'm teaching them here, because we don't talk about them too much. But they happen. Courage happens. Authenticity happens as a consequence, as a result of being in the Priestess cauldron for 9 months. So we begin a new session on July 22nd. Just like everybody else, Maggie's feast day. And for some of you that me giving you the discount and then taking it away today was too fast. You didn't have time to sign up for a time to talk with me or any of that. So I'm pushing it back to Wednesday. And that will be our last session before big ceremony day. And everybody will be invited to the ceremony as well. So ceremony day happens on the 22nd at 11 Central Time. And that will be the last time to get in to this round of Priestess. So there's still time for you to sign up with the discount all the way through Wednesday if you need to. That's beautiful. Okay. Anna Marie wants to know, where's the info on the Priestess class? Well, honey, you have been getting an email from me. That's how you showed up on this program, right? If you just scroll down that email, right underneath the announcement for this class is the information about Priestess. And I'll send it out again in that order. And there's a link where you can sign up to chat with me about it. And there's also a link that takes you straight to the sales page. So you can learn all about Priestess and you can sign up at the bottom of the page. Awesome. Good to have you, sweetheart. Anybody else have questions while I'm fielding them? Okay. Our closing session for this program will be Wednesday, July 19th at 1 Central Time. And then the ceremony, the Mary Magdalene Feast Day ceremony, which is our opening for the Priestess process, will be 11 a.m. on Saturday, July 22nd. So you'll just watch your inbox. All the information will show up for that as well. All right, if you have any questions, reach out via email. You'll get the recording of this, the slides, all of it. I'll send it as soon as it's ready. Oh. I love this. Don't you just love it? The other thing I wanted to share with all of you is that when we poke around in here, when we hang out together and we do the meditations and we connect with her, she'll show up. She'll show up for you. She will bring you new information that maybe you've never heard before. So pay attention, be awake. It will happen usually in one of those times when you're least expecting it. So I want to read some of these in the chat. Pamela says, asking for help with being up against a karmic brick wall of patriarchy. And she said, turn around, put your back against the wall. Look before you and see all your sisters. I'm going to start crying. Hold out your hands to the left and right and take the hands of the sisters right there with you. Love them and start here. Forget the wall. Be with your sisters. Blessed be. Thanks for sharing that, sweetheart. This is what happens. This is what happens when we plug in and ask her. All right, y'all, let's dance. It's time to integrate everything we've been doing. So let's get this in our bodies. ladies. I'll see you Wednesday, if not before. Always good to have all of you. All right, gonna have to stop this so that I can close it.